Back to pass goes Stabler. Looking. He runs. He's at the 15. He's thrown. It is a touchdown Raiders. Touchdown Raiders. When you have great coaches, then after you have great coaches, you get great players. You have a great organization, and you tell them one thing: just win, baby.
Get fired up. I ain't playing. I'm telling you, get fired up. Stand up. Get out of that chair, moron. It's time for the Degos. That's right, Murph and Sonny from the Dego Dungeon. You got it right here, live.
Welcome to another episode of Raiders Riportare. I am your host, Sonny. With me in studio, as always, is the other host, not my co-host, because that's demeaning. That means that I am the main thing. That means I am the driver of this, which I'm not. I will claim that as long as we're successful, but in the chance this fails, he is the other host of the show. His name is Murph. Give him a round of applause. What's going on, Murph?
Not too much, Sonny. Thanks for having me back in the Dego Dungeon once again for another fantastic episode of Raiders Riportare. You know what, Sonny? You know what's interesting about this show?
What's that, Murph?
I'm on East Coast time tonight.
Oh, you're an East Coast guy, huh?
Yeah, I'm on East Coast time.
I'm on West Coast time. I'm always on West Coast time.
Yeah, I'm on East Coast time, kind of like the Raiders were when they won for the second time.
Now, let's clarify, Murph.
Let's get out in front of it.
We goofed bad. I goofed bad. I'll own that. We're in the middle of the show. Now let's clarify here. We're not anything. We're not affiliated with the Raiders. We are not super fans. We're not reporter. We're not wannabe anythings. All we are is fans, right? We're Raiders fans, which means our dads were probably Raiders fans, which means our dads probably weren't, scholars. So, which means
that's one way to put it.
Which means we got dropped on our head once or twice as youngsters.
Which means our dads never got arrested together.
Yeah, which means
they
never got arrested for kidnapping somebody in Oregon with rope and sleeping bag. Which means we, probably knew what the taste of beer was by the time we were 3 years old and have pictures to prove it. My point is, though, Josh Murph, sometimes we say things that aren't accurate, like last episode. We need to clarify. We were in the midst of dialoguing, as we do, and I researched something about the Raiders and the East Coast struggles. And then what I researched, I thought, because I didn't look, was a recent article. But the date of that article, Josh Murph?
2013.
2013. So, listen to us for our passion, not for our facts.
Well, and we weren't, although we weren't,
we were onto something.
We were onto something. It just was technically we were off. And so in terms of what we were saying, I think that still holds true in that
They've struggled.
The Raiders have struggled on the East Coast. And when you think of Cleveland, and going back, I remember them winning in Cleveland. I don't remember it being that was the game that got him over the hurdle. Because when you think of Cleveland, you think of the Midwest. You don't think of that being the East Coast. I think of Baltimore. I think of Washington. I think of
New England
and New York and Miami and Carolina. And that's, I don't think of Cleveland. That's the Midwest. But anyways, we stand corrected. And Twitter, you guys rock. You called us out immediately on it. And
some of us got defensive.
Well, some of us being me. But so anyways, so thanks for keeping us in check out there, and like you said, don't listen to us for being factually accurate. Check into us for the passion and love of Raider football. If you want your
factual, accurate, up to date stuff, go to Vic Tafer. Go listen to him.
There you go. Absolutely.
If you want to talk to your fellow knucklehead in a bar about the Raiders, come to us. That's where our mastery is.
That's it. Absolutely.
Now, Murph, I almost didn't make it here today. I went to a men's retreat a couple weeks ago. And we're going to get to the Raiders. Just a quick second here. I went to a men's retreat, met this guy. He's a gypsy joker. Straight up.
Oh, wow.
No kidding. He's patched in, man. Patched in.
Wow, big time.
Yeah. Gypsy joker. Big old dude, right? I work with youth. I was talking to him, mentioned that what I do. He goes, "Oh man, I'd love to come, do anything or speak to him, I was like, "Sweet." So we hooked up. I got his number. Came back from the men's retreat. I'm like, "Hey, babe, I got a dude's number from the men's retreat." Anyway, so he texts me today, right? He goes, "Hey, looking forward to doing whatever we can do together." I was like, "Yeah, man. Once I get to the office, I'll hit you back." I never texted him back, Murph.
Oh no.
I know. I just realized it right now. I kind of stood up a Gypsy Joker on the phone.
That's not a good idea. For those that don't know, the Gypsy Jokers are kind of like the more hardcore version of the Hells Angels.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
He's reformed, but he's still a Joker. So I just texted him. Hopefully he texts me back. I haven't seen anything back yet.
And
so
hopefully
this may be the last Raiders.
Hopefully he doesn't show up at the Oregon Dago dungeon before the show's over and abruptly bring the show to an end.
If you hear I'm out of here. Anyway, moving right along. We are the Degos, Raiders Riportare. Find us on iTunes, Libsyn.com, all those fancy things. Okay, enough said. Murph, did you hear Howie Long this week?
Did I hear Howie Long this week? Not exactly maybe what you're inferring to, so enlighten me.
Well, you didn't hear what Howie Long said that set apart Raider Nation.
No, I didn't. I missed this.
Oh, boy. Here's the problem I'm having, and I don't want to beat a dead horse, but it's starting to happen every week. And it's the same thing that you have with the whole stupid freaking Republicans and Democrats, right? No longer do we look at smart common sense makes the most seemingly worthwhile objective. We don't look at truth no more. We don't look at anything no more. All we look at is blindness, what allegiances we have, and that's it. And anybody who comes against that, we hate. It's ridiculous. Here's what happened. Howie Long, 56-second statement about the Raiders moving to Vegas. Multiple times in his statement, he says, "I wish the Raiders would stay in Oakland. I wish the Raiders would stay in Oakland." He wishes the Raiders would stay in Oakland.
Okay.
And then he comments and states, "But if they can't, the Vegas thing seems like a nice way to go because you need a stadium."
True.
He says to be in today's NFL, you need a stadium.
True.
You need luxury boxes.
True.
You need revenue.
True.
You need all these things. That's all he says, basically.
Sounds like a pretty smart take on it to me.
Oh, no, Murph. Oh, he is an idiot. His jerseys should be burned.
Oh, you gotta be kidding me.
I swear to you. Look at Twitter, man. I'm on Twitter more than
I
I should
Twitter.
be.
You are definitely our social media.
I am more on Twitter. But this was pathetic, man. For Howie Long to share an opinion and then to get railroaded by fans of the team that Howie Long actually played on, to be discredited and for people to call him out and to say that he doesn't know what he's talking about is mind-blowing to me. Because Howie Long is in the organization. He is a Raider and stuff, It's just crazy. And so we're so blind to our allegiances that we don't look at facts. We don't look at truth. We don't look at just a dude giving his opinion and they're going to hate him for it. Like, it wasn't everybody, but straight up, dude. Dudes are like, screw that guy. I'm going to throw away his jersey. I'll burn his jersey. It was ridiculous, man.
I'd say that until Charles Woodson retired here recently and has really epitomized what it is to be a Raider in retirement, that prior to that, it's got to be Howie Long. I mean, because if you think about all the guys that have retired, all the classic Raiders that we think of that embody the Raider persona and are there at the facilities during training camps and are there for games and in their off time and all that. It's it's the older guys. It's Bilenikoff and it's Willie Brown and it's all the Plunkett and all them. They're doing radio and Tom Flores and all. But Howie Long's the most recent by far. You know what I mean? Who else? Maybe Tim Brown. I mean, Tim Brown's certainly around, but Howie's certainly had more exposure at least to now because Timmy just hit the Hall of Fame here last year, or year before last, I should say. So I mean, until then, I mean, it's been Howie's personified the Raiders, and he's repped us for how long on that Fox NFL show. That's a silly notion to discredit the guy. But first of all, he was the last original Oakland Raider, if I'm not mistaken. Somebody tweet us that. I'm sure you'll tell me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure Howie was the last original Oakland Raider. Played a majority of or all of his career. Aside from that 1 year in Oakland, he played
first year, 81 was in Oakland,
right, and then the rest was in LA.
93 in LA, yes.
Right. That was rest was in LA. Okay, so you got a guy that I mean, so he not only does he have that long playing career with the Raiders, and obviously won a Super Bowl with them and everything else. Okay, so not only does he have all that, but you talk about somebody that's in touch with it as an analyst and on being with that group on the Fox set, you know that they are in tune with so much that goes on in the NFL. So immediately discredit him like that he doesn't know what he's talking about. That's the goofiest thing I've ever heard in my life. That's those people ought to be embarrassed. You know what they are too? And this is maybe a little bit of my age showing. They don't know what Howie Long is. They have no idea. Howie Long is somebody that's an analyst on TV. That's what they know Howie Long. They forget or they don't ever even know from the begin with what Howie Long was, how he was the Raiders. Howie Long was the Oakland and eventually Los Angeles Raiders. It was him. It was Marcus Allen. Those were the guys that were the Raiders. That's why it was such a big deal when Marcus got turned out by Al Davis and went to Kansas City. But, I mean, people don't understand. They don't know that. And so that's how can you – and then there's the other thing, too, is that I'm with you. How do you get pissed at somebody for having an opinion?
That's what I'm talking about.
That's the stupidest
but you know
thing I've
why?
ever heard.
Because it was different than yours, Murph. How dare you have an opinion different than mine?
Yeah, like only Siths deal in absolutes, and that's what our society's turning into, the idiots on social media. Get over yourselves. You know what? You're not all special little snowflakes, okay? Get over yourselves. Idiots.
Okay. Thanks for alienating half our fan base by calling them all idiots.
Not all of them. The ones that are follow the Degos, they're pretty legit. I like our fans. We're not. Let me back up. We don't have fans. Sorry, that was pretentious. I didn't mean it like that. I just meant the people that we interact with on our Twitter. Those people are cool. Everybody else, anybody that's criticizing Howie Long openly like that for having an opinion, and frankly an educated opinion, and frankly a pretty well-founded opinion when you consider what a franchise in the NFL needs in order to be successful, and the fact that they can't get it in Oakland and they're looking elsewhere to get it. Come on, man. This isn't rocket science. It's a freaking business.
It is a business. And I think that's the problem, is that we as fans have such a time realizing we are just fans. And I think there's a sense of entitlement that comes with it. That you know. And again, we said this last time, I'm not in Oakland. I don't live in Oakland. I lived in San Jose, grew up in Northern California, Mariposa, that area, Fresno. I didn't grow up in Oakland. I didn't go to games as a kid. I went to a few games with my dad, but I didn't go to season tickets. You know, I didn't have season tickets. I don't have season tickets. I'm going to the Broncos game. I go to a game a year. I went to games as kids with my dad, but I never lived there. So I get that, right? I just watched Sonics Gate. It's the story of how the Seattle Supersonics were literally swindled out of Seattle. That was bad, what happened there. When Bennett came in, Kyle Bennett, whatever his name was, when Schultz, the owner of Starbucks, sold the team to Bennett. Bennett came in promising he'd never take the team to Oklahoma City, and of course he was doing it the whole entire time. He purposely tanked the team so they would suck, and then drove them out of there. I would feel like they ripped my heart out if that happened. Oakland seems like it's a little different. And again, I'm not there. I don't know. I don't go to town meetings, so I'm not saying anything. All I can say is, from an outside point of view, from just a fan point of view, to have other fans ripping, not so much disagreeing with. Let me clarify. You can disagree with Howie Long all you want. Disagree with them. I don't care. Disagree with them forever. That's fine. But don't insult. Don't think you're high and mighty that you can disrespect and insult and discredit a former player of your favorite team. Are you stupid enough to love a team and then hate the player who actually represented the love that you have for that team, that was part of the greatness of that team, and then you're going to disrespect him because he has a different opinion than you? I mean, what is this? You know what this is, Murph? You ever watch South Park?
No.
You should. South Park season 19 has an episode, or the whole episode is about PC principle. And if you say anything that goes against the PC, you're in trouble and stuff, you know? It's hilarious. Caitlyn Jenner, great person, great woman, hero, you know? It's awesome. But it pisses me off, man. I just, this whole thing has gotten way out of control. And to a certain degree, it's cool because it's passion and it's the fan base. And I would be pissed too. But the fact of the matter is something is breaking down between Oakland and the Raiders that's caused this to happen. Whether it's Mark Davis's fault, whether it's Shaft's fault, who knows? Well, it could all be Al's fault for all we know, right? I mean, that guy didn't make friends for the last 20 years of his life. So if you got to be pissed at somebody.
or the last 40 years of his life even.
Maybe you should be pissed at Al Davis, if anybody, right?
I mean, he's certainly accountable for a lot of the things that, you know, some people are quick to dismiss and pin it all on Mark Davis because Al's been gone for however long, 4 years, 5 years, however long Al's been gone. But if you don't think that there's long-term ramifications for the behavior that he had, like, I don't know, suing the NFL, yeah, you don't think that there's long-term ramifications to that, and then I think that you're not thinking with an open mind on this stuff. And that's the thing that's sad to me is that, you know, I don't want to get all philosophical here, but it's becoming instead of a black and white issue, I'll call it's becoming a silver or black issue. Well, it's not.
There you go.
You know what I mean? Like there's a middle ground there, though. It's like, yeah, you don't, like you say, you don't have to agree with Howie Long. You don't have to agree with anybody. You don't have to agree with us.
No.
But to be so dismissive and to say that someone's an idiot or that their opinion, heck. Howie Long's opinion matters a heck of a lot more than ours does. It's a heck of a lot more educated than ours is. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's just that's goofy. And then now I get it why I saw you respond to somebody on Twitter that referred to Howie as overrated. Gee, that person must have had double-digit sacks 3 years in a row in the NFL. You know what I mean? They must have had more because I think in those 3 years Howie had, I'm looking at it right now, he had 35 sacks in 3 years. So that person must have had at least 36. Because
way overrated.
Yeah, way overrated.
Shut. Way overrated.
Goofy.
Telling you, man, it's getting crazy.
All right, let's move on to fun stuff.
I want to camp real quick.
All right.
Let me just camp real quick.
Camp it, and then let's stick and move, man. Let's stick and move.
I agree.
All right, we have listeners in Australia that are way past their bedtime.
This is true. We picked up Russian Federation, which is pretty awesome, if you ask me.
Yeah.
And we picked up Australia. Which is pretty awesome.
We're now on 3 different continents. Props to you guys if you're listening to us again. Thank you for tuning in.
Is that can we start saying welcome to our international show?
We are international. We're global, dude. Straight up. We're global.
We're global. We're across the globe.
Yeah.
We have punctured communism. Rodney Peete and
Ronnie Lott.
Rodney Peete and Ronnie Lott. Those are the guys that are interested in doing this deal, right? For Oakland. Which is cool, right? Which is great.
This is they're part of an ownership group that wants to invest in this is the Coliseum City thing, right? This is the project for the shopping malls and the entertainment venues and all that kind of stuff that's going to go along with a new facility for the Raiders to play in at the Coliseum site. Is that what you're referring to?
Correct.
Okay.
God bless them. I hope
God bless them. Yes.
I hope it gets done.
Yes.
I sincerely hope it gets done. But let's not pretend Rodney Peete and Ronnie Lott are Raiders.
Nope.
Rodney Peete played 1 year for the Raiders. Do you know what year that was, Murph?
Oh, my God. I'm going to go 89.
He's not that old. That was his rookie year.
Oh, okay. Well, I just always think of Holly Peete, his wife. She was pretty hot. Probably still is. I'm going to say 94.
2001. You know how many?
Well, let me finish.
Okay.
I was going to say I would say 94, but after thinking of it a little bit further, I'm going to say 2001, right before Aaron Brooks.
Yep. You know how many passes he threw that year?
6.
You know how many completions he had that year?
1.
You know how many yards he threw for that year?
4.
You know how many blanks I give about Rodney Pete's opinion?
None. Was any of that right, by the way? Because if it was, that was pretty cool.
No. He threw 0 passes for 0 yards, for 0 touchdowns, for 0 completions.
Oh, okay.
Rodney Peete never threw a friggin' pass for the Oakland Raiders.
But he must have had 36 sacks, if his opinion.
Moving on. You know Ronnie Lott?
Yeah, the Niner.
Yeah, the guy who what did he break his pinky or had his pinky cut off in a game?
Yeah, I have much respect to Ronnie Lott, his playing career, even though he was a stinking Niner. But let's not pretend he was a Raider, though. What, 2 years?
Thank you. Much like Jerry Rice. Ronnie Lott played 2 years, 91, 92. Played 16 games in both years. 91 had 8 interceptions, which is a pretty outstanding number.
Pretty solid.
93 tackles, 91, 103 tackles, 92. I mean, the dude played his heart out, right? No disrespect. But he is not a Raider. He's a freaking Niner, right? So, should we trust Howie Long has the better interest for the Raiders? Should we trust Ronnie Lott and Rodney Peete have the better interest for the Raiders? It's not about that at all. It's about both these people, all 3 of these people, want the best for the Raiders.
Well, and let's not pretend though that there's not a financial investment involved.
Well, of course there is.
Pete too, and you know what? And that, frankly, to me, even though Howie to me is obviously much more of a Raider, but I will trust somebody's financial interest before I'll trust their, whatever loyalty to an organization, or whatever. Because if anything the NFL has proved us over the years is that the money is what talks, and the money ultimately goes. And, hey, look, and like you said, if these guys can put something together that's a viable, option for the Raiders to stay, of course we would support that. But that doesn't mean that that's the only option, and that doesn't mean that we got to hate on everything else just because that. You know what I mean?
I agree. All I want to say is Ronnie Lott and Rodney Peete played 3 seasons for the Raiders combined. Howie Long played his whole entire career for the Raiders, Oakland and Los Angeles, from 81 to 93. The guy is a Raider through and through. You really think he's going to come out and want the worst for the Raiders? I mean, let's rethink our attack here, man. Jeez Louise, ridiculous. All right, moving on. Raiders
I feel like we're on the Dr. Death show or something, man, talking about all this Raider relocations.
Hey, he's the man when it comes to this. That guy knows he is in it to win it when it comes to this stuff. So I have mad respect for him, man. It's awesome. Raiders won, Murph. Did you pay attention? Did you happen to catch that the Raiders right now are actually playing football? They're doing the best they've done in freaking 12 years, 14 years, and all we can talk about is F. Howie Long. Give me a break. What'd you think of the game?
I thought it was amazing. I thought it was absolutely incredible. I thought the Raiders did absolutely everything that they needed to. I still are missing a little bit of that killer instinct. I mentioned it last week against their game against the Titans. Still missing a little bit of that ability to just absolutely put a team away. And with the turnover late, with the fumble, and I know it's on a rookie, and so I'm not gonna beat this drum too heavily tonight, but still looking for that ability to just kind of put a team away. But outside of that, I thought it was phenomenal. I thought there was the positives way outweighed the negatives of that game, and to do it on the road against a tough opponent who, regardless of who they played, they're still 3-0. It's still a team that has represented the AFC in the Super Bowl, a couple of times since 2000, and winning them both. I mean, I thought it was a very good win for the Raiders. It's not quite a statement win. It's not anything that's going to define our season.
I'll argue against that.
Okay, well, that's fine, and I'm interested to hear your opinion. I wouldn't call it a statement win yet, but I think it was a very, very good win. I think it was very important for the team's morale. I thought that it was important for their own confidence and in themselves to be able to win a game like that, because as we know, that's typically a game that our Raiders, since 2002, they would usually lose that game. That's when they would typically tap out after giving up the 2 touchdowns, in quick fashion. I forget how many minutes they were apart, but when they gave up those two quick scores, when Steve Smith, I think it was Amerson, he straight up punked out there in the open field and stiff-armed him and showed him to the ground and took off. I mean, we mentioned it last week's show that we were going to expect a physical Steve Smith, and we certainly saw that. And I don't care how old that dude is, he can ball, man. He's amazing. And so, but after all that, the Raiders didn't fold up, man. They stayed after it and ended up, obviously scoring late and winning the game. And I thought the defense showed up when it needed to. So there was a lot of positive things. But no, I don't think this wasn't, winning in Denver to, take a lead in the division. Like that to me, like those are going to be the games to me that are going to be more of a statement win. Yes, it was a big deal, and I'm not downplaying it nor diminishing the accomplishment at all, but I don't think it's going to define the season. I think there are going to be bigger opportunities based on the scheduling and knowing on how well our opponents are playing. Those are going to be the statement wins for us. Winning in Denver, they look unstoppable, man. I mean, goodness.
Blasphemy! Blasphemer!
They look good, dude.
They look good.
They look good.
Tell me
why you think it's a statement win.
Okay, I will. Smart face. Here's why.
Hey, listen. Just because I have an opinion doesn't mean that there isn't other ones to be considered.
Burn you at the stake. May you wake up tomorrow with your eyelashes removed.
Hey, when you're sitting here making your statements, I'm just gonna be like Trump and sit behind you going, wrong.
Yeah. Oh, there you go.
Wrong. I never said that. Wrong.
Oh crap! Let me miss my tax returns. Okay, here's why.
Did you see Alec Baldwin as Trump, by the way? That was pretty funny.
It's good.
All right, sorry.
Here's what I think about the whole Baltimore Ravens thing. The Baltimore Ravens game. I made a post on Reddit after the game, and I said, but the title of it was "Not This Team, Not This Year." How many times have we watched a Raiders game get blown up in the fourth quarter?
A lot.
I'll give you an answer.
Well, that's the ones that didn't get decided in the first 6 minutes of the first quarter.
Yeah, the ones they didn't blow in the first half.
Yes.
When they actually held the lead in the second half over the last few years, how many of those games did they end up losing? I'll give you a hint. The number is higher than the number of passes Rodney Pete has ever thrown for the Oakland Raiders.
All of them.
We watched it happen in Atlanta a few years ago. Remember?
God.
We were up big.
And Palmer was that Asante Samuel that picked him off and took it to the house?
I don't know. I blacked out.
It was.
I blacked out from anger.
That was awful. From anger. Oh man.
But we watched it live. We literally watched it live, right? We watched that soft shell defense playing a man 3 deep, whatever they were doing. Let them march down the field. We've seen this happen over and over and over again, right? I was driving down from Seattle. Didn't get to watch the game. I watched it later on replay. I listened to it on the radio. You know what? Listening to games on radio is kind of fun.
It's kind of fun. Yeah.
Especially when you're driving a long distance and you can put your headphones in. You don't have to hear your kids or your wife. It was great. They all fell asleep. I was listening to the Raider game. I was tweeting. It was amazing. I still stayed on the road, Anyway, when Steve Smith scored that breakaway touchdown in the fourth, I was like, oh, man, we just gave up a quick score. I was like, dang it. I was like, now we're doomed, right? I started thinking, because I've been a Raider fan a long time. I don't know nothing else. As soon as Steve Smith scored that touchdown, because remember, we went up. There was only one score in the third quarter, Joe Flacco's touchdown run, right? That was the only score in the third quarter. And then within a span of 5 minutes, there were 3 touchdowns scored, right? So Flacco scores the touchdown. They missed a 2-point conversion, which how big was that, by the way, right?
Yeah.
Crabtree comes down, scores that touchdown from Carr. We're up by 9. I'm like, all right, sweet. We're up by 9, fourth quarter. Defense has been playing good. Ravens haven't scored, a lot of points. They've only scored 12 for the first 3 quarters. I'm like, okay, good. We're in shape. Steve Smith, breakaway touchdown. I'm like, oh, crap. I was like, here we go. And then what happens next? Boom, fumble on the 20-yard line. Or I think it was the 16. So now they're all of a sudden right there. They're in the red zone. 4 plays later, boom, touchdown. We're down. 27-21. At that point, I was like, that's it. We're done.
That's it. Ball game. Yep.
I was like, I have seen this story before. I have watched this play out numerous times before. And I said, we're done. But you know who didn't say we're done, Murph?
Jack Del Rio and Derek Carr and Michael Crabtree.
His name rhymes with Eric, and he's the opposite of a truck. That man. He's franchise, bro.
Oh, shoot, dude. Talk about a leader. Oh my gosh.
I had this moment. I'm driving down the road. I'm going about probably 123 miles an hour. I'm clinching the wheel, you know. I'm double fisting it 10-2, you know. My fingers are sunk into the steering wheel and stuff, you know. And I got the radio full blast in my ears. My wife and both my kids are sleeping, and I'm just zoned out, you know. I'm weaving in and out of traffic and stuff. And as I'm driving through traffic, I hear Derek Carr down the middle, Derek Carr on the side. I'm weaving in and stuff, you know, like I felt like I was like the football traveling down the football field and stuff, you know. Derek Carr's leading the drive down the field. But no, what I really thought was, I thought of my father in the 70s when, you know, they listened to the games a lot more on the radio back then. They still had the TV and stuff, but radio is a thing of the past and stuff, you know. And man,
and it was Bill King too, man.
Oh yeah, and the way the announcers did it and stuff, you know, it was just I was there, I was picturing it, you know, and it was so intense, and not having something to watch made it almost more intriguing, you know, because I asked so many different questions in my head and stuff, you know. But man, to hear the announcer talk about Derek Carr driving us down the field, and then that last play to Crabtree in the back of the end zone, and at first he goes, "Oh, he didn't get in. Crabtree didn't get in." And I'm like, "No!" And then the other guy goes, "Yeah, he did." And I'm like, "Sweet!" And then it came back that he got it. And then it was just, oh my gosh, you know. And then it's back to, oh great, we're only up by a point. It's 3 points.
Yes.
That field goal kicker,
yes.
You know, that guy's a stud.
F. Tucker sucks. Oh my gosh, dude! As soon as I'm like, all I could think of is that if he was going to have the attempt to kick that, I was just going to start spamming that George Carlin bit.
But you know, I'm thinking we're done. I'm thinking we're done again, right? I'm such a Raiders fan. I know this script. I've seen it play out numerous times, but it didn't, man. Our defense stepped up when it needed to and made the stop. And then I came home and watched the fourth down play that who broke up?
Reggie Nelson.
I mean, it was the thing of beauty. And so when I made my post on Reddit, I said, not this team, not this year. What I meant by that was they're different, man. This team is different. They're winning close games. We have lost close games for 15, 16 years. We're winning close games. And that, to me, is a sign of a good team. If you think about week 1, 35-24. 2-point conversion, we won. Week 2, we lost 35-28. That's a tip ball away from us winning or losing, right?
Yeah, against a team that hung 48 on supposedly one of the best defenses in the NFL.
Yeah.
Hello. Oh, my gosh, man. You know, how good does it make you feel every time you see the Falcons throttle somebody? It's like, wow.
Killing it right now, right?
Yep.
But we beat the Titans 17-10, a one-score game. We beat the Ravens 28-27, a one-point game, right? We're winning close games. The script is starting to change. We have a quarterback who can lead us down the field. We have receivers who can get open and make clutch catches. Not just Cooper, not just Crabtree, but Seth Roberts is emerging as a stud.
Sure, he's certainly a red zone threat, man. My gosh, that guy's – I think at one point during the game they said the Raiders were 10 of 11 on red zone tries. And, like, how many times have we seen Seth Roberts in that situation, man? I mean,
Roberts is stepping up.
He sure is. Well, and you know what else I like, too, is that with Crabtree doing as well as he has, I heard some of the commentary afterwards was – I mean, he just balled out. I mean, he was – 7 receptions for 88 yards and 3 touchdowns. And, you know, one of the things that I heard was that now that Crabtree is not – look, to us as Raider fans, he never left the map. But I think to the greater good –
to the NFL, yeah.
Right, that he may not have been on the map. Well, dude, he certainly showed up. And not only does he have those vice grips for hands that we talked about last week, they showed up again. And, I mean, he's just straight up wrestling the ball away from people. It's amazing. But his footwork is just disgusting, dude. On that one play, I forget who that was on. I think it was Jimmy Smith. Or no, it wasn't Jimmy Smith. It was a young kid. Anyways, whatever. It was, I mean, he broke his ankles. He just left him in the dust, man. That foot on that move, it was sick. And so now that Crabtree is having the success that he is, he's going to start demanding attention.
Yes, he is.
Guess who's going to get left alone? Here comes Coop. Yep, here comes Coop. And so I think that we're going to start to see now defenses are going to start having to pick their battles. Because, again, it's not. I don't feel like Crabtree ever went away, but he's just really starting to emerge. I mean, and I think a lot of it, and if you ask him, it's Derek Carr. And when he was
100% Derek Carr.
It is. And when you see him, I don't know if you watch
Deion Sanders?
Yes, the prime time. I forget what the show's called, but it's if you ball, you get the call. And I knew when Crabtree caught that third touchdown, I thought, oh man, because him and Deion go way back. I'm like, oh, he'll for sure be on the show tonight. And so I stayed up to make sure I watched it. And sure enough, he did. And the first thing he did was give Derek Carr credit, man. He was like, it's my quarterback. He's like, I trust number 4. I trust him. I put it, everything's in him. And so that is if that's bringing back Crabtree to the forefront of being a number 1 type threat, like I said, man, what's that going to do to Cooper? And like you mentioned with Roberts, heck, man, I'm telling you, we're in good shape. Offensively, we're in really good shape. And then thankfully, defensively, looks like we started to turn a little bit of a corner in this game too.
I thought the defense played tougher. Not a perfect game by no means. But the thing that I was impressed with, and again, I think this is the mantra, man, not this team, not this year. How many times have we seen a Raider defense do a dumb thing and give up the late lead, man? And we did not see that this year.
Like pass interference on a 4th down.
Yes.
Something stupid like that, yeah.
Or a dumb penalty. Now, I think we came into that game leading the league in
still leading the league
penalties.
Yeah.
I don't know if we still are after that game.
We were, yeah.
But all that said, we're making the plays when we need to, right? Mac finally got a sack, but if you watch the game,
he was on fire, dude.
We terrorized Flacco the whole entire game. Flacco got hit a lot. I don't know what the exact stats were, but he got hit or hurried quite a bit, and a lot of his incompletions were because of that, On top of that, we got another strip sack fumble. I think was it Irvin again?
I think so, yeah. No. It was, Autry? Did Autry do it? Did Autry recover?
I thought Autry recovered it. Irvin
recovered it. Autry had him dead to rights a couple times. He almost had Flacco, too. Autry had a great game.
Autry got the fumble. Oh, no, that was Washington.
I think you're right. I think it was Irvin caused it, and Autry recovered it, yeah.
But anyway, so Khalil Mack had 3 quarterback hits. Irvin had 2 quarterback hits. Jaleel Ward had 6 quarterback hits. I know we had a ton of hurries, too. All that said, the defense stepped up when it needed to. For the first half, I think we held them to field goals, right? I mean, we did what we had to do, man. The defense, it gave up some, but then it stopped. It gave up the big play to Steve Smith, but that was a fluke, right?
I wouldn't even call it a fluke. You're talking about a future Hall of Famer just making a great play. I mean, that's how do you? I mean, not like Emerson was out of position or anything. You know what I mean? Like that. That's just Steve. It's just like when you play the Falcons. Julio Jones is going to get his at some point. Steve Smith is going to get his.
It wasn't the norm of the day.
No, not at all. I don't think that the defense. I don't think anybody it was like a horrible play at all. I think that's just Steve Smith. So no, I thought that was. I mean, I'm not going to say it was fine because it still scored a touchdown, but I mean, yeah, it was understandable. I guess it was what you could say. As a fan watching it, you don't feel like, oh my gosh, I can't believe we just did that. It was more like, oh my gosh, I can't believe he just did that.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. And it wasn't like, oh my gosh, this guy's been killing us all day. How come they can't stop that? How come they can't figure that out?
Yeah, right? This wasn't 386 yards that Antonio Brown hung up on us last year or whatever. Yeah.
Oh, exactly. So I'm telling you, man, they're different. They're different. I'm not getting all googly-eyed, silver and black glass. I mean, I kind of am a little bit, but it's just this is a different team, man. We've lost this game in Baltimore many, many times before. We've lost this scenario many, many times before, and this time we won. And I think that says a lot about this team. And I don't give a crap to people who say, "Oh, they're 3-0, but they didn't beat." Bull crap. They're 3-0. If you're 3-0 in the NFL, you're 3-0. That's it. Period. End of the day. Because any team, any given Sunday, Patriots just got shut out. Last week we were saying they're geniuses because they keep winning. This week they got shut out. So everybody can shut the hell up about they're 3-0, they didn't beat anybody. We just beat a 3-0 team in their house. Here's the other cool thing about it too. Listening on the radio, you know how many times I heard cheers for the Raiders come through on the radio?
Really?
I mean, I don't know about. I'd be interested. I mean, I don't know how you can measure this. I think the Raiders are one of the best traveling teams in the country. I mean, we were coming through loud, and then to watch the game, they would show the crowd pictures on Twitter. There was an end zone was just full of Raider jerseys and people in black and stuff. I was listening to the pregame. I tweeted about it. The CBS radio guy made comment about. He goes, "Wow!" As he's walking through, he goes, "Wow!" It was like a random comment. He was giving the analysis, and he goes, "Oh my gosh, there's a lot of Raider jerseys here. We're not used to seeing so many opponents' jerseys in this stadium." I mean, he made comment about it. Raiders travel well, which is why if we move to Vegas, I'm not worried about filling seats. But beyond that, Raiders travel well. Good things are happening, Murph. I'm excited. I'm hyped. I don't know. I think it was a big game, man. I think it was a huge game.
Well, I agree, and I don't mean to dismiss it at all. I just think that there are bigger games to win you know what I mean, throughout the course of this year. But for all the reasons you just stated, I think that they're all very, very valid points, and why they are, to a certain extent, those were statements to be made. It was certainly a statement to the overall personality of this football team, because the personality, like we've said ad nauseum at this point, we didn't do this before. This was a team that would lay down after these circumstances in the past, and they never did that, despite the penalties, despite the giving up a big plays, despite the turnovers. None of that mattered. They still stayed in there. They still fought, and they still brought themselves all the way back. And I think, too, that I don't want to say that it hasn't been that this is the first time in recent years we've seen this characteristic, because I kind of feel like the Raiders have been moving this way really since Del Rio. I mean, the Allen years were a little lean, but I kind of feel like we've been moving this way, but we haven't had the talent to be able to take advantage of those sentiments. But now when you have people, like you mentioned, Bruce Irvin and the maturation of Khalil Mack, and, the young guys on the defensive line stepping up, and guys like Reggie Nelson in the secondary, and I'm even going to give him props, a guy like DJ Hayden making plays. Now the talent is also represented, and so it's not just the team has the willingness and the competitiveness to stay in the game, but now they got the talent to actually make things go. So it's not just like, well, we're not going to give up, but now we have the talent to claw back in it and to win this thing. And so, yeah, I'm with you. And for those aspects, it was definitely a big deal. It was definitely a statement for the personality of this team. And so I mentioned him, and so I want to talk a little bit about a few things. I do want to jump back to the offense too, because there's a couple talking points there I think are fair to cover. But I mentioned DJ Hayden. Dude, I don't know about you, and I don't know about that. I haven't seen as much on social media this week, but I've been the first one to criticize it. I've been really vocal about, in conversations with other Raider fans and you about DJ Hayden, about him being a bust, and about just being let down by him as a player. When he was drafted, and the story behind him.
The story was great.
Amazing what that guy had to. The fact that he even plays football at all, the fact that he's alive, and the fact that he's still talented enough to play in the NFL is an absolute blessing, and is a story that should be celebrated. Now, that said, he's been busting our hearts. No pun intended.
Easy.
What? I really didn't mean it like that.
Can't say that.
I didn't mean it like that. I take that back. I really didn't mean it like that. I meant like he's been letting us down, okay, regularly with his play on the field.
He almost gives me a heart attack every time he's on.
Wait a minute. You just said we weren't supposed to say stuff like that.
All right, go ahead.
All right.
It's like he rips your heart out when you
watch
it.
Oh, my gosh.
Go ahead.
It's like you get just like a shot to the ribs, man, every time you see him play.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, so sorry, lowbrow humor.
We love DJ Hayden.
We love DJ Hayden. This is what you get when you listen to a show like ours. All right, so anyways, that said, I've been very critical, and he does. His play has been like, you see, if it's a pass interference, and you see him blow coverages, and you see people outrun him, and it's just like time after time after time, and it's just like, my gosh, what is this guy doing on the field? But here over the past couple of games, playing in the slot, he's done a really good job. And the thing that I've noticed most about him, And the thing that I really like is that he is a really good tackler. And I used to always give him crap and be like, yeah, well, he had to be a good tackler because he's always giving up completions. But he's pursuing ball carriers, and now he's making plays on guys that he isn't necessarily covering. And I think that's pretty cool. On that one, that last play where him and Nelson, really knocked the ball loose, but it was Hayden. It was right there. And so I think that he's to be commended. And we've seen a lot of players over the years switch secondary positions, switch from corners to safety and safety to corner. Nnamdi most famously was a safety and then started playing corner. Dude, DJ Hayden could. I mean, look, I know it's a lot different. You got to know assignments, and it's not just like it's not like Madden where you can just turn him into a safety and let him go. But if he can embrace the mental aspects of being a safety and being able to read the offenses and things like that, the dude is physical enough, is what I'm saying. He's physical enough to play safety. Like, he's pretty damn good at tackling ball carriers. So major props to him. Like I said, I've given him a lot of crap over the years, and I hope that he continues this stride towards becoming, there ain't no shame in being a good nickel corner. The way that the NFL is played nowadays, there are a lot of 3 and 4 and 5 wide receiver sets, and you need a good nickel corner. It's absolutely a necessity. Look at the success that Tyrann Mathieu had before he turned into a safety. He was a big-time nickel corner guy, and in fact, he's even most recently said he wants to get back to playing more playing the slot, playing that slot receiver. So if that's what DJ Hayden ends up being, is it worth the number 1 draft pick? I don't know, but it certainly will fill a big time need for this team. And as a team playing in today's NFL, I think it's great for the Raiders and great for him and a great story. So major props there, despite my tasteless jokes.
He's, I agree. He's come out of nowhere and all of a sudden is a tackling machine. He was 5th on the team in tackles this last game. He had 6 total, 4 solo. But he's not just making tackles. He's hitting fools, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, he's laying lumber. For his, he's not the biggest guy in the world, but he's throwing his body out there and stuff, which is pretty impressive. And I love that, man. I mean, if you think about it, the Raiders embody second chances. I mean, that was their identity in the 70s, right? They picked up the guys no other team wanted. They picked up the castaways, right? They picked up the has-beens. They picked up the roughnecks. That was their identity for so long, was the redemption guys, man. And if Hayden can fight through all the criticism, fight through all the controversy, fight through the bitter fans for picking him number 1 overall or number 1, for our pick, whatever, dude. If this guy can ball, he can ball, and we got to love him because he's a Raider. And he's been balling, so I've been loving that a lot. Another guy I thought was impressive for simply one play was Darren Bates. You know who Darren Bates is, Murph?
Yes, vaguely, but yeah.
Okay.
Not like I don't know like his bio or familiar with him very much like his college.
What position does he play?
Linebacker.
What's his number?
I don't know.
Where was he?
I don't know.
Oh, 50. That's pretty impressive.
I don't know. 50 something. Well, he's not 51. He's not 52. He's not 53.
56.
Yeah, he's 56. Okay.
You know where he was born?
No.
Memphis.
Oh, nice. Did he play at Memphis?
Auburn.
Oh, Auburn. Okay.
Anyway.
Yeah. Okay.
The play we mentioned earlier, the play with Steve Smith, where Steve Smith took it to the house, caught it. It was like a 52-yard pass, wasn't it? Something like that?
Something like that. Yeah, it was big. Yeah.
You know who caught him at the end?
Oh, wow. Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, it sure was.
Bates.
Sure was, yeah.
I thought it was James at first because Corey James is fast.
Fast.
Because we all know because Madden. That's how we base our speed. Everything on Madden. But I thought it was James, and I looked back and go, no, that was Bates, dude. Bates has wheels. I mean, he overtook, and maybe I forget who it was, but it was a defensive back. He overtook the defensive back to almost catch him at the goal line, He has wheels. He can fly. I mean, Steve Smith, old, he's lost a couple steps, but still, for a linebacker to catch him, that was pretty impressive, dude.
That's pretty strong. That's pretty well. That's the special teamer in him coming out.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? That's those guys. That's what they're built for, is to fly down the field.
So I think I like to see him more in the lineup. We just got rid of Heaney. I don't know if you've seen today. Smith and Heaney were both placed on injured reserve.
I saw that, and I have that on my list of things to talk about because I think that it fits back into Number one, the Corey James discussion is that
Monster.
Sixth rounder out of where? Michigan State, or where was he from?
Colorado State, I think.
Colorado State. Thank you. Yes. I mean, a little bit undersized, a la C.O. Moore, a la Ben Heaney even. But, man, what do you got, like 15 tackles or something goofy like that? It's like, 26 or 21 in the past 2 games. So, yeah, Corey James is a monster player. And yeah, he's going to be one of those late round gems, hopefully. So I thought that was great. Joseph showed up again too. Again, speaking of tackling, which is something else that I think
we never did well.
We never did well. That's why it's standing out to us, right? Because we never had guys that could tackle consistently that weren't named Charles Woodson. So it's nice to see that. So okay, with Heaney going on IR. And Lee Smith going on IR. And I'm sad for Lee Smith. I hate to see that.
He is a good guy.
He is a stud, and he's like a sixth lineman, man. The guy is just an absolute monster. I didn't like seeing his involvement in the offense the way that they were, but whatever. That's aside from the point. I hate to see the guy go down the way he did. But now, so that opens up 2 spots, right? Immediately on the offense, and somebody just got let go last week. So do they bring him back?
No, because he's already working out for Bill Belichick, dummy.
Well, I know he's working out. He worked out for a handful of teams, but I'm wondering if they if they want that one back. I mean, Lee Smith, that's what Reese does. That's what our guy does. And we didn't talk about it last show. It happened right before we went to air last week, so we didn't really talk.
You need to mourn. Go ahead.
I do, man. He's just one of he to me, as we mentioned, talked about Howie Long, epitomizing what it is to be a Raider, the way Charles Woodson epitomized what it is to be a Raider. Since Marcel Reese has been part of this organization, he has absolutely epitomized what it was to be a Raider, the loyalty, the commitment to excellence. He had, a reverence for Al because he was one of Al's guys. He was the kind of a player, that Al recognized something in him and gave him, like you said, that redemption story, that chance to make something of himself that, despite all the dysfunction that Al had late on in his life, you still saw glimpses of that genius. And you saw it in a player like Marcel Reese, a guy that it was a kind of a funky-sized wide receiver at Washington, bulked up and ended up playing fullback and was one of the deadliest mismatches there was in the NFL. I mean, when you saw, some of the plays that he made in, 2012, 13, 14 in that stretch, I mean, it was plays, it was unheard of that fullbacks were doing that. And then he would line up as a tight end, as an H-back, he tailback, put him in the slot, split him out. Guy was all over the field. And so I thought it was a testament to not only to Al, but a testament to Reese because he recognized, or because of his recognition that Al gave him, he just had this, a major amount of respect for Al. And when Al passed, he was the one that kind of carried the torch of Al's legacy on the field, wearing the Al shirt and tucking up his jersey and showing that before, in warm-ups and when he took the field on player announcements. I just think that Marcel Reese, to me, was what it was to be a Raider, aside from how fun he was to watch play. But he just epitomized what it was to be a Raider. So when you see a guy like that get let go, yeah, it kind of stings a little bit, and not to mention that, we got to meet him. You got a hat signed. I got a jersey signed. He was gracious with his time. We saw him on the road in Tennessee, and man, he came right over to us and talked to us, and he was great. I mean, look, we never had dinner with the guy. I don't know. He may go home and kick his dog for all I know, but to us, he was a super nice guy, and he and for his persona as a Raider and his quality of play, yeah, you miss a guy like that. So I think if Lee Smith would have got hurt last week, I'll bet you Marcel Reese doesn't go anywhere because he's eligible as of now. He comes back this week. So I'm curious to see if those spots opening up will incur some interest on the Raiders' behalf to bring him back. Or if maybe that ship has sailed. Maybe it's sailed for him. Maybe he doesn't want to go back. Now that they've cut him loose, maybe now he just says no thanks. And if he gets an offer from the Patriots, and Bill Belichick will, go win a Super Bowl with him.
Yeah, I don't think he comes back. I think he's done. He's gone. Great player. I mean, I don't understand why we never utilized him the right way. I don't understand why he was never a tight end.
Guy could catch, he could run routes, and he was big. I mean, I don't know. I never played professional football, so there's more. Maybe he couldn't block as well or something like that, but you got to think.
He's a fullback. I mean, he could block.
Oh, I know, but
there was never evidence that he couldn't.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. I mean, Lee Smith is he's running 1 yard out routes. Love the guy, great blocker, but a 1 yard out route. Are we finally past the Fire Musgrave banter?
I think so. Something that I was thinking about you this week because.
Thanks, Josh.
And not even when I was pooping, but other times I thought about.
Yeah, thanks.
So when you covered a couple shows ago, you had talked about how Musgrave was kind of getting some criticism because of the short pass routes, and despite the fact that we had the number 1 rated offense in terms of yardage, despite that he was getting criticism because of the short pass plays and all that. There's a couple things that happened, I think that and you defended him, and so that's why I thought of you. And there's a few things that happened. One is I think Carr is a pretty smart quarterback, and when you look at him during a football game, the guy is working through his progressions all game long, and if it's not there, he's not going to force it because he remembers what happens when he forces it. Chris Harris picks it off and runs it to the house and wins the game in Oakland. That's what happens when you force passes. So I think he's being very discriminate at the passes that he pushes downfield, which is good. So that means he's doing a lot more checkdowns. He's doing a lot more third options, a lot more bailout type stuff, a lot more Lee Smith type opportunities. Okay. So that's why that stuff is happening. Now that's not on Musgrave. That's something it's built into the offense as a fail safe. So instead of taking a sack or, you know what I mean? So instead of him risk getting hit, or taking a play for no gain. Instead, he dumps out, he bails out, and he gets at least a couple of yards out of it. Now, if that were the only thing that we ever did, then I would say that it would be fair to criticize him, but that's not. And then here's the other thing that made me think of it too, is that I think and I forget if it was during the game or if I read it afterwards or something, but at some point somebody mentioned that he was either at the top of the list or near the top of the list as far as yards after contact, deadly, yak yards, right? Those yak yards, I'm pretty sure Amari Cooper was leading the league, or at least up there, as far as having the most yak yards in the NFL. Now, I'm no genius, okay, and I'm not as smart as some of these people on Twitter are.
I'll second that.
Okay, thank you. But if I have a player that's leading in yards after the catch, I don't need to force the ball 15, 20 yards downfield to Amari Cooper. I can throw him a bubble screen. I can throw him a 5-yard slant. I can throw him a quick pass, let him go to work. That's what that offense is doing. And so I think that those two things built in are much less of a reason for this whole fire Musgrave and, we don't push the ball down. They don't maybe push the ball downfield because maybe, one, it's not smart in that situation, or maybe, two, they don't need to in those moments. So, no, I get off of Musgrave's junk, man. The guy's fine.
We're 3-1. We have. Here's an interesting stat for you. Do you know the only quarterback who has ever thrown for over 1,000 yards in 4 games without throwing an interception?
Oh, gosh. I don't know, but I'll guess. Marino.
Guess again.
Tom Brady.
Guess again.
Okay, give me the yardage number again. 1,000?
Over 1,000 yards over a 4-game span without throwing an interception.
All right, so 250 yards a game. That's not a ton of yards per game. So Joe Montana.
Guess again.
What the crap? Okay, let's see.
I'll give you a hint.
Peyton Manning.
I'll give you a hint. No.
Rich Gannon?
His name rhymes with Yik Yak.
Yik Yak?
Yep. Dak Prescott.
That doesn't rhyme with Yik Yak.
Oh, the last part of it does.
No, that rhymes with, if you would have said Yak Yacht, that would.
Yik Yak Dak. That rhymes.
So stupid. You being stupid.
Yik Yak Dak.
Rhyme with Yik Yak. I'm thinking like Michael Tic Tac. I'm like, oh, they like who?
There's never even a player named Michael Tic Tac. Anyway,
he was pretty good.
he is the only guy to ever. This is pretty impressive for your Yik Yak Dak. Over 1,000 yards.
Hey.
Over 1,000 yards, 4 games, no interceptions.
Ever?
Yeah, dude, ever. I read it the other day.
Ever. Like ever.
Ever. Pretty impressive, right?
Wow.
I know. It's pretty. It's amazing.
Impressive. Good.
And I fact checked it, so we don't have to apologize for this.
Okay, all right. He plays on Central Time, so I think we're good.
Yeah. Anyway, so that said, do you know how many interceptions Carr has this year?
1, right? The tip pass?
Yep. Do you know how many yards he's thrown for?
Oh gosh, I don't know. Let me see. Hold on. You went 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm gonna say 800 yards.
800 yards is what you say?
Yeah.
Um,
You don't have this readily available? Come on.
I know. I probably should have it readily available. Oh, yeah, he has 1,066,
Is it that many?
and he has 1 interception. Was that interception his fault? Yeah, you could debate. You could debate.
It's debate.
You could debate.
It's debatable. It's an okay interception though. It's not like it wasn't a dumb pass.
Oh, I'll take it all day long.
Trying to make a play. Yeah, he's good.
He's thrown 1 pick through 4
Really?
games.
He's over 1,000 yards already? That's crazy.
Yes. He's thrown let's see, he's thrown over 140. Looks like 150 attempts. I mean, the dude's balling. So he's close.
4,000 yard season. That's MVP caliber. Now listen. I'm not trying to call me MVP. I'm just saying that if he throws for 4,000 yards and 4 interceptions, how many touchdowns does he have? Like 16?
Right now? Oh, he has 7. He has 8. So he would have 32.
Oh, I was way off. What am I thinking?
Yeah. He'll have 32.
Yes.
Well, anyway.
So if he was 32-4 at 4,000 yards,
easily.
that's an MVP type season.
Easily. Anyway, all that said.
I say 16. I don't know what I'm smoking. Sorry.
All that said,
It's late.
He almost did something again that nobody else has ever done. Dak Prescott, right? I totally lost my train of thought with all this. What the hell were we talking about before?
Musgrave.
Oh yeah, Musgrave. So you're gonna tell me
You'll get quality analysis like this, folks, on other Raider podcasts.
You're gonna fire the guy.
You might get technical aspects on how to paint your face.
Oh yeah, big deal. You're gonna fire the guy who freaking has helped command an offense that has 1 pick that's almost done something no other team has ever done in the history of the NFL. You're gonna call for this guy's head still, and people are like, "Well, he goes soft. In the 3rd quarter, we didn't step on the throats." Yeah, I agree. We're not stepping on throats yet.
That's not play calling; it's execution, man.
We're not stepping on throats.
Because you know what? You want to here. If we're gonna get into finger pointing and name calling and accusing people, Latavius Murray. Yeah, we're looking at you and all your crooked eyes.
I'm done.
He's killed. I don't know which one to look at. I guess you look at
He can't find the hole. He has no which hole to run through. He can't see it.
My gosh, man. Trent Richardson's got better vision than this guy. He's killing me.
Stevie Wonder can find the hole better than him.
Oh, man. I'm telling you, man.
I like Tate Trey, but man, every time I watch Washington and Richard run the ball, or Richard, whatever his name is, dude, Washington reminds me so much of early MJD, man.
Yes, it's
big,
great. Yes.
bulky, quick, and gets to the hole. I mean, that guy's a stud, dude.
I'm with you, dude. And I think that if Murray doesn't get it together here in the next game or two, the 2 rookies are going to take over. And because they have return value too, which Murray doesn't have. So, I mean, I don't think he's at any risk of, losing his spot on the roster anytime soon, but he's certainly going to lose the playing time. Because why?
He's going to lose touches. He's going to lose touches.
And let's also not pretend like he's got the greatest hands when it comes to catching either. And I think it's Richard is Mr. Dropsies as well. So that means Washington is going to get those reps. That means Washington's going to be on the field for when we start running any of those swing passes, any of those bailout routes that we're talking about that Carr throws. It ain't gonna be Murray. It's gonna be Washington. It's gonna be catching those. And yeah, I know the fumble was ill-timed, but look, he's a rookie, man. That's what rookies do. Not a big deal. You know what I mean? They won the game, and he'll move on from it, and he'll get better. Dude, I'm with you. I think that Murray He's dangerously close to losing his spot. This guy was a 1,000-yard guy. Was in the Pro Bowl. What's he doing, man? 3 yards.
Well. He's averaging 4.3 yards a carry. His longest is 22. Right? He's averaging 43 yards a game. He has 40 attempts. Right? Washington, 23 attempts, 6.4 average. 30 is his longest. He has 3 runs of 20 yards or more. That's impressive.
That's impressive. And what is Richard? He had that big.
Richard has 17 carries, 144 yards, 8.5 average, long 75. But you take away that 75-yard run, and he has 16 carries for 75 yards, averaging about 4 yards a carry. So
pretty legit, man.
I agree.
Both those guys are
legit.
At a minimum, they're equal to Latavius Murray. I mean,
I want to see them in the lineup more than Murray at this point.
I do too.
I'm already there.
I'm with you.
Not giving up on Tay Train. Sorry about the eye comment, but step it up, bro. Because what I like to see though, more than anything, is the competition. It's that.
Yes.
That's gonna drive it, right? Murray's gonna go, dude. I might lose my spot. I better step my game up. That's gonna make him better. Washington is gonna be hungry. Richard's gonna be hungry. It's gonna make those guys better. And at the end of the day, it's gonna make our team better.
You think that maybe that's what got Murray in trouble? Is that lack of, that killer instinct, pressure, whatever you want to call it, competitive, motivation. I mean, is that what got him to the spot that he was? I mean, when he broke out in that game against Kansas City, he had, he was running for Darren McFadden. You know what I mean? And then when McFadden left, did he pull the "I'm the man" card? You think that there's a little bit of that he thought he's got his spot, and then and then here comes these two guys, here comes these two rookies, man, that are,
they're catching them.
They're catching them quick. So I don't know. I think it'll be interesting for sure. I mean, and then last part of that too, while we're talking about the running game, is that I want to again give props to the offensive line. Those guys, I'm so impressed with that offensive line. They're just beasts. And you know what else too I like about them is that not only you don't see a lot of scrappy offensive line play that's not dirty. So there's a difference between the Kyle Turleys of the world and the Richie Incognitos of the world, and you know what I mean? You get those Taylor Lewan, there's guys out there that kind of play up to on that edge and then kind of cross the line sometimes as far as, being dirty players. The Raiders are scrappy and they play over that line at times, but they're not dirty about it. Watching Osemele, I love that guy, man. He's in people's face. He's pushing after the whistle. Like he's all up in their business, man, all game long. I love it but he's not doing it. He's not, who knows what he's saying to these guys on the field, but from what it appears like, the body language and stuff, it's not inflammatory. He's not, you know what I mean? Like it's not lowbrow, unlike us who take the lowbrow joke. It doesn't seem like he's just fiery, man. I love that. That's what you want to see in your offensive line, right? And I think that's what's breaking open and blowing open a lot of these holes that these guys are now running through that Washington and Richard are taking advantage of, is that, and maybe it has something to do with their size, because they're able to just kind of squirt in there, where I see when Murray runs, like he's so far upright, like he's got that high pad level, and I'm not trying to be, Merrill Hodge over here, but it just seems like he just runs too far upright and he kind of runs into the pile where those guys kind of dig their way in. Even when they're stopped at the line of scrimmage, they kind of have a way to, like you said, like MJD used to do, just kind of bowling ball their way in there and push the pile a little bit or fall forward. I don't see Murray doing that, and frankly, you don't see a lot of big backs do that anyways, unless they're Eddie George or something, So anyways, I'm with you on the guy. Our running game and our offensive line, man, it's amazing. It's just they're great. They're playing complementary of off the passing game, and one is opening up opportunities for the other, much like the pass rush is opening up opportunities for the secondary. There's just, man, we got a lot to be excited about, man. It's been a long time. This is great.
I know. We're already over an hour, and I still have like 4 or 5 things I want to talk about. It's ridiculous. So we gotta cut it off here. But a couple things I wanted to mention real quick. Cooper has no touchdowns on the year. Does that worry you?
Only because he's on my fantasy team.
But he also has 6 catches of 20 or more. I like that a lot. And he has 115 yak yards.
Yeah, exactly. See, there you go. And I think as long as that stuff's going on, then that's what's important. Is he converting crucial third downs? That's what's important. I look at him like when we talk about Khalil Mack, the numbers will come. the touchdowns will come. I'm not, and I don't think he's worried about his numbers either. This is something else too. Isn't it amazing that we have this kid that's this talented and he's not a diva?
No.
He's not, and whether you want it, whether you like the players or not, whether it's healthy, whatever you want to call it, however you want to define other players' behavior. When you look at a Steve Smith, whether it's that in-your-face, gritty, physical type guy, or it's Odell, where he's playing with emotion and this incredible skill set.
He's an idiot, though.
Okay, all right, but that's my point, though, is that there's wide receivers typically, one way or the other, have some sort of a very large personality, right? And all of them, unless they're Megatron, or there's only been a few of them that are like bigger, that are these that will put up these types of numbers and not be some sort of heck, even Antonio Brown, one of the best players in the league. The guy's Dancing with the Stars, and he's twerking in the end zone, and he's a big personality. Right? Not Coop.
Cooper didn't even smile till like this year.
That he doesn't do. He wouldn't say SHIT if he was standing in a pile of it. I mean, the kid's he's amazing that he's this talented, and he's chill. He's chill. I love it. I think it's great.
There was a quote. Let's see. What did it say?
Like my kids don't know how to what that SHIT spells shit. I just say it from now on. Sorry. I mean to dumb it down.
Wow, you just made us PG-13. We're gonna lose Australia now because of you.
They don't got they got Murph saying shit on radio.
Yeah. Crabtree, more touchdowns than any Niner receivers combined since coming over.
Well, that's not
what a difference a quarterback makes. Remember when the Niners played the Ravens in a little game called the Lights Out Super Bowl? Remember how many times Crabtree was throwing the ball and he missed it? Remember when Crabtree against Seattle being called a mediocre receiver? Now you got Primetime calling up Crabtree because he's balling his freaking face off, dude. I love it. And here's the other thing I love. Redemption again. He was supposed to be drafted by us. We went with Hayward Bay. Fast as hell. Couldn't catch nothing. The ship's righted. Is that even how you say it? We've righted the ship, right?
Yeah.
Crabtree's on the Raiders, where he should have been all along, and he's balling out with Carr. And did you hear what he told Primetime when he told Dion at the end of that interview? And Dion almost missed it. Did you hear what he said?
Say it.
He said, "I'll see you next week, Prime."
Oh yeah.
And Prime goes, "All right, good." He goes, "Ah!" He really got it.
That's right. Because if you ball, you get the call.
Crabtree's confident right now, man. He is confident, and he's catching everything. He's balling out, man. Friggin' love it. All this said, all this hype said, and we won't talk about it too much because I think this show might merge into let's talk about the past week stuff. If we lose to the Chargers, all this is null, I think. I'm serious, man.
I said it's not a statement win.
I'm serious. Chargers are 1-3.
Yep.
They got Rivers. He's beat us before. He's good. A lot of people picked him this year to be good, but they're not really good right now. If we lose to the Chargers, that nullifies all of this.
Yes,
so
I totally agree, and that's why
we have to come in and smoke them. Here's what scares me. They've put up 121 points already this year. We've only put up 108, and we've been scoring. We've been scoring in bunches. They put up 27 on the Chiefs, 38 on the Jaguars, 22 against the Colts, and 34 against the Saints. They're putting up points.
And what do all those teams have in common?
Bad defenses.
There you go. So, I mean, as long as our defense plays the way that we played in Baltimore, if that was an indication of where this defense is going, then I don't think that we're going to have a problem. And then, the other good news is that not to stray too far off the Chargers game, but just as a general outlook going forward, we're getting people back too. We're going to get Mario Edwards back soon.
True.
And we're going to have Aldon Smith back by week 8. So if we think our pass rush is starting to finally come around a little bit, and dude, can you imagine? Think about it with those two guys on the line. already with the young guys playing, like you mentioned Ward earlier, and what's the other guy's name? Calhoun. With the way that they're playing right now, that kind of depth, dude, that's what wins you championships. When you have that kind of depth at positions, when we can run 5, 6, 7 deep on the defensive line and get consistent pressure all game long and have fresh legs going into the fourth quarter, that's huge. That's huge.
Yeah.
So I'm with you. Will it all be for naught if they lose to the Chargers? I don't know. But this is definitely why I say that it wasn't a statement win against Baltimore, because there are other bigger games to be won, mainly within the division. And San Diego's just a starting point. Like that's, we should beat the Chargers. If the Raiders
we should beat the Chargers. I agree. We should beat the Chargers. We have to win. If we don't win, we don't do a show next week. No, just kidding. But I mean, if we don't, that's not looking good. A couple other things real quick. Derek Carr currently leads the NFL in percentage of times he gets sacked per throws, or per, like, I think 100 yards or something, like per 100 attempts or something like that. 1.29%. The next closest guy is Blaine Gabbert at 2.46%. So almost by double, he's not getting touched, is basically what this is saying. He's not getting touched. Also, he has 2 game-winning drives this year, and he has 2 comebacks this year. And he is number 1 in the NFL since 2015 in come-from-behind wins. I'm telling you, Murph, this could be the start to something.
That's impressive, man. It's impressive. It reminds me of, if you watch old videos of the Raiders from back in the 70s, and, Shell and Upshaw, they were so solid on that side of the line. And, of course, then Dave Vella and George Bueller and all those guys. The line of the Raiders back in the 70s was so good that when they would watch game film, afterwards, as they're sitting in the film rooms, Stabler would just stand back there in the pocket, and he wouldn't bounce around. He would just stand there, like flat-footed. And Shell and Upshaw used to tell him, Snake, why don't you move around a little bit back there, man? Make him look like he's trying to do something. Because Stabler would drop back, and the protection was so good.
Yeah, man.
He didn't have to move. He just stood there. He was just looking out in the field, just, for like 3, 4, 5 seconds. He's just standing there, And so, and there was at times during this game, it made me think of that, because Carr wasn't getting any kind of pressure. And now we're talking about a defense
clean.
C.J. Mosley and Elvis Dumerville and Terrell Suggs. I mean, it's not
a slouch. It's not a slouch.
Not a slouch defense. There's some playmakers on that team, and they weren't getting any pressure. And he was just standing back there. Of course, Derek Carr's, a little bit more athletic than what Stabler was, and he's bouncing around doing his thing back there. But, I mean, totally, that's impressive. If you can keep your jersey that clean, that late into the game, those are the things that you got to do to win championships, and the Raiders are certainly doing it.
One more thing. Shane who?
Oh, Marquette King rules, dude. Love that guy.
Is he not the best? Did you see his Ray Lewis dance?
Oh man, that's what I'm so cool. Hey, you know what? There's our diva. Marquette King's our guy with the big personality. I love it, dude. I think that it's what a Raider. You know what? You want to talk about guys that epitomize what it is to be a Raider? That's what it is. A punter that's probably the most athletic guy on the team. You know what I mean? And has a big personality and not afraid to show it. And I've been impressed with him since he came on board. Going back to when we used to do the old show, and Shane Leckler departed for Houston, and the first thing we said was, we got this young kid. He's a boomer. It's only going to take him a couple of years, and this guy's going to be one of the best in the NFL. And the only knock against him back then, if you remember, was that Janikowski was pissed because Shane Leckler wasn't going to be around to hold for him anymore. Mm-hmm. And we got over that awful quick, didn't we? And then now look at this kid, man. He's awesome. I love him. I think he's great. You there?
All right, Murph, we're out of time. Passionate show. Love it. There's about 4 or 5 other things I want to talk about, man.
I know. We'll be here all night.
My mantra this year is not this team, not this year, man. I think this team is different. I think this team has turned a corner. I think we're still way early in the season. I'm not even saying we're making playoffs just quite yet, but this team is different. We're winning games. We weren't winning before. Derek Carr is a franchise quarterback. He's not making mistakes. Our defense is starting to gel, which is what I said the first show after week 2. Give it time. Don't bring anybody in. We put in new pieces. We put in Joseph. We put in James. We're starting to gel. I'm telling you, man, it's exciting. But all that said, if we don't beat the Chargers, we're a different tune next week, man. Check us out, Raiders Riportare, every week. Podcast coming on Wednesdays. Find us on iTunes, also on Libsyn.com. On Twitter, we are at the Degos. I am their co-host, Sonny. Josh is the host.
Wait a minute. I thought I was Murph.
Murph, whatever your name is. We picked up Australia and the Russian Federation last week. This week, we're hoping for Africa. So, if you know anybody in Zimbabwe who likes the Raiders, have them check out our show. It'd be really great. Murph, any last comments before we go?
34-10, Raiders get their first blowout win of the year.
Hey, I think it's going to be 112-0. Chargers might get 2 points, but we'll see what happens. All right. Thanks for listening this week. See y'all next week. Go Raiders.
With all the great teams we've had, I think today that this organization, this team, this coaching staff dominated so decisively that two things must be said. Not only, in my opinion, are you the greatest rated team of all time, I think you're ranked with the great teams of all time that have ever played any professional sport.